Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the episode of Tatami Talk. My name is Juan. This is my partner, Anthony. It's a Judo podcast for Judo players by two Judo players. So, Anthony, how you feeling today?
Well, I just told you how I was feeling great. And this morning, I had really bad allergies waking up. I thought I was sick again, but I still kind of feel it. But I think it's just allergies. So I took some medication and it's getting a little better. So if you hear me sniff all the time or sound a little congested, that's what it is. I'm not sick anymore. In fact, after we recorded that last episode, I felt great. I was training like 2 to 3 times a week for like almost 2 weeks, since until I guess 2 or 3 days ago. And I just felt sore for like a couple of hours, and I'm like, man, I feel fine again. I'm gonna go run. I'm gonna go lift weights. I'm gonna go to a second jiu-jitsu class. I'm gonna go to another judo class. So I was like, where is my limit? Was basically what I was trying to figure out.
Okay.
I also recorded the ukemi videos. Like, that's how great I felt. And I recorded the ukemi videos. And then I finally found my limit. I think on Wednesday or Thursday, I went for a run in the morning. Then I lifted weights. Then I went to jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And then I did an assault bike.
An assault bike. I also think it's funny when you call it the assault bike. I think like it's like
the aero bike, whatever you call it.
Is there a gun on a Gatling gun on there? Does it
so after
you ride it?
After I did an aero bike, that was when I was like, oh crap, I feel like shit. I feel so like my abs were hurting. And then that following night, I went to the judo class near me, and they were doing all abs that day. Like all ab conditioning for like half an hour. And I was just like, oh my God, I literally couldn't finish it. Usually I can keep up with them. I could not keep up with them. So after that, I felt kind of like off. So I was like, okay, that's my limit. I can't do lifting weights, running, assault bike, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and judo the same day. I have to remove one of those. So that was it. But I felt great. So I actually recorded the ukemi videos. For those who don't know, I actually recorded it like last year, but then I didn't like how it turned out, so I deleted it and needed to re-record it. So this time I told myself I would have a plan going in, like an outline, recording it. I've been coming up with my head, but never wrote it down. And recording it was kind of like a whim, on the whim kind of thing. So I just recorded it, and then there were a couple of topics where I didn't like how it turned out, so I trashed those. But the main things, like how to fall sideways, like the details of falling sideways, and how to falling, rolling forward, ukemi. And I don't know if I'm going to keep the relaxation part, like the importance of the mental aspect and the relaxation part. I don't know if I'm going to keep that part, but I have some content, and then I sent it out to some friends to look at, and I got some feedback, and I need to, 1, re-record some of the sessions, and 2, I need to add some more stuff that I forgot to record to the previous video. So it's a work in progress. So I'll have it before December, definitely. So.
Well, at least you did it finally. You've been talking about it for a while. Yeah. You finally did your little video. Good.
Yeah, I know you're saying you're always saying you have to teach it in class, but I feel like if I link this video to our beginners, that I don't have to talk in class as much. I can just be like, if you remember in the video, I said this, like, look at the details you forget, but you should do this. I'm not going to explain why, but like it would cut the time a lot for onboarding new people. So
you think so?
It will. But... I mean, if it doesn't, then I'll go back to the way it was, and we tried, right? But nobody, I don't think anyone has really tried this in judo. It's just in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, people have tried it and to great success, you know? That way you don't think about it. You don't have to repeat, like, you need to bow on the mat, step off the mat and bow. You can't like wear jewelry. You can't do this. You can't do that. Like, not having to just repeat that every single time is like such a thing. I'm just surprised people haven't been doing it or trying it. So
I think because most people, they think that's just like, to you, it's a big deal. I understand that. But I think to most people, they think it's just such a small part, just a small thing to say like, hey, don't wear, like every now and then, like don't do jewelry. Like when we first started the beginners class, not this, but when it used to be, you jump into judo, you get that 2-week crash course into judo, then you get tossed to the wolves and stuff. The first day, it'd always be like, you sit down, you get a little brief judo history, learn how to bow, learn all the formal stuff the first day. Don't wear jewelry, get water, you get all those little things right there. And that takes like 10, 15 minutes. And then you teach them how to do kemi and do like some throws.
Yeah, but so every time someone walks through the door, then you have to do that again.
Yeah, no, but this is what I'm saying though. This is before we get like 1 or 2 new members every few weeks. It'll be just like that crash course, that 2-week crash course of the first day would be this. But now we have like a straight beginners class. I can understand if you like every time you get a new person, I have to go over all this stuff all over again. I have to go all solo. So I get where you're coming from. Yep. But I think to most people, most judo players, it would be like, most people own their gyms. I don't know, maybe. It's just such a little thing that they never thought about that before. And like I said, we'll see how it works out for you. We'll see how it turns out.
Yeah. So you know how yesterday I try to keep like 3 or 4 people to test for their yellow belt. This is the first class of yellow belts that don't have prior judo experience. And I have not taught breakfall the traditional way with. So you know those games I use to teach them breakfalls?
Yes.
So this will be the first class of yellow belts that will be coming out based off of those different methods of teaching ukemi. And it's been really great so far. It's just like, for example, yesterday I asked 4 people to stay. Only 1 was able to stay to test. I tested him. Breakfall wise, he is like better than some of the orange belts. Honestly, I'm not to brag, but he is better than some of the orange belts. And but the thing that he failed on was ogoshi. Weird enough, the way he did ogoshi still works in a what do you call a randori setting, but in a kata like setting, he wasn't doing it right. So I was like, you just next time do this. You got to brush it up a little bit. He was doing the side entry, you know, the moving side entry that we do. That was the drill that we do, like the kenkaiotsu, left versus right game that we do all the time, because that's a realistic scenario to do ogoshi. So he was trying to do it like that, but from a straight coming in straight. So it looked really weird. So I never ever taught him ogoshi coming in straight like that, actually. So that makes sense why he wasn't really able to do it. But so that just, to me, that means I need to spend a little bit more time on like the kata stationary versions of those throws. Yeah. So that's interesting side note, just a little update on the way I'm teaching, how it's turning out. So we'll see.
Let's see
Ukemi video soon. I should like put it behind Patreon or something, but who the hell would pay for Ukemi videos? But like, again, the videos I made, I have not been able to see anyone. There's nothing on YouTube about it. And I'm not teaching you like, oh, tuck your chin and slap the mat, roll backwards and like that kind of stuff. It's like, I've never seen anyone say I've seen people write about it, but not everyone making a video about it. So that's a little,
because I know for like me, because we kept talking about it, going off this tangent now, the Ukemi videos, we talked about you making this Ukemi video for so long and stuff. And I know like when I teach, sometimes I do similar, I call them like advanced Ukemis and stuff where you fall over people, fall over things, you know, a partner, because you talked about it so much and you weren't doing it. I put up my own Ukemi, like little shorts, just a little short, not super detailed stuff, but some shorts on my Instagram and stuff. And I got a lot of feedback on people being like, I've never thought about doing a back Ukemi on somebody, like putting someone in a referee's position and falling backwards like that.
That's a more common. I actually shared that with a jiu-jitsu guy before, and he was like, "Oh, I never thought about doing that," because they're teaching breakfalls to kids, and they're like, "I never thought about doing that." I'm like, "How is that not?" I mean, I'm kind of it. I still use it, but I'm reducing the amount of time I do that because it's decoupled. Again, the word decoupled from the actual falling. Like I talked about in the ecological approach episode, how it doesn't simulate the loss of control because you know what's happening. But I still do it as like a beginner thing, like the first time, but I totally skipped the whole roll backwards on the mat and slap the mat thing. That's like,
I've never,
that replaced it basically.
I've never been a fan of that, but I much prefer the whole. So like, again, with my partner stuff that I work on with people, like, you know, my class stuff, like doing forward kemi over your partner. Okay, your partner's in a referee's position. You do forward kemi over them. Now you're actually going over something. You can't just flop yourself on the mat. Yeah. You're doing back kemi. You sit on them. You slide backwards. You know what's happening. Or you go to where my second advanced one is when you do the kind of trust fall version where the person's leaning backwards and the person's like pushing them, so you never know when it's coming. Yeah, and it's the same thing with side.
I like that one. I love that one, but that you showed me. But the problem is 90% of the people don't do it right. Yeah, they kind of like don't fully lean, and then they'll like sit down and then fall, kind of thing, and which is still in control, right? So
well, or the thing is that
I be a plank.
I tell them like do random, like do like 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps, do it randomly. Everyone goes 1, 2, 3, fall, 1, 2, 3, fall, 1, 2, 3, fall.
Yeah, and they also need to stay at like a plank. They can't just like collapse and then slow the fall down. But it's different. We're going in a different discussion. But yeah. Okay. So no Kemi video soon. I'm joking about the Patreon thing. Unless you want to send me money for that, then
it's gonna be Anthony's OnlyFans actually.
OnlyFans, yeah. If you like, seriously, if we ever do that kind of stuff, like the money you send me, it's gonna go into the fund we have in the dojo for sponsorships for people who can't afford tournaments or USA Judo fee. The other day, I used that fund to give someone a gi. Someone came in and said they want to do a judo tournament, but they couldn't afford a judo gi. So we pulled money from that fund to fund the judo gi. It's mutual benefit kind of thing. Because one, I don't need the money, and two, I don't want to file the taxes.
All right.
So we put the money aside. Yep.
All right. So let's get to some judo news. So Anthony said we talked about this before. We may have mentioned it, but now it's rock hard solid. It's official. Satoshi Ishii.
Are you talking about my chest muscle?
Yeah, you're rock hard chest muscle right there. Look at that, ba 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 ba. You know, do like that. You know the way they bounce them. Yeah. So Satoshi Ishii, he re-signed with the PFL. He's coming back to the US. Everyone knows him as the Olympic gold medalist. He's one of the outside of he's a very good heavyweight, a pretty good light heavyweight too. He struggles with striking, but he's been working on a lot. But let's see how he does this time. He's now officially signed back to PFL. He's not in the tournament as a heavyweight. He's going to be part of their what they call their things. They're not specialty fights. They're showcase fights.
Showcase, yeah. I was thinking of exhibition, the same thing. Yeah. Yeah,
they're doing their showcase fights. Which is the same thing as Ngannou. That's what he's part of their showcase fights also. So his fight is, well, let me look it up right here. Friday, August. No, is it? I think it's August 18th. If I look here correctly. Yeah. And he's fighting a heavyweight. So he's back to heavyweight. He's not fighting 205. He's going to fight a heavyweight. So it'll be interesting to see how he does. And this is the cool thing about PFL because PFL has some pretty good judo players on there. As we all know, Kayla's there. She's still signed with them officially, I think. I don't know if she's going to be
She didn't get a chance to get her championship back. No.
Well, she's not for the tournament this year. That's the one thing. Oh. She decided not to do this year's tournament.
Is she taking a break because she's been training so much?
Maybe. I don't know what. I don't know if she's waiting on her contract or what, but as far as I know, she's still there. But she was also, remember, she was trying to fight Cyborg for a while. She was trying to go to Bellator. She's trying to go to UFC and stuff.
True. We talked about that already. Yeah.
But as far as I know, she's still there. So they got 2 Olympic gold medalists in their ranks right now, as well as Olivier Aubin Mercier. Is that how you say his name? He's a Canadian judo guy.
That guy, yeah.
He's the one that won the lightweight tournament last year. I believe he's fighting I have it up here somewhere. I know I have it here. He's in the semifinals this year. His fight is going to be, where's the date? Wednesday, August 23rd is his fight. So we're going to watch that for another judo guy. In the semifinals, he's the co-headliner in that one. So it's a co-main event. So PFL boosting up their judo ranks, pretty cool, fun to watch. And the thing about these guys that they actually have in the PFL, most of their judo players there actually use their judo, not like some other federations where they'll have a judo guy that just suddenly becomes a brawler or a boxer or just doesn't use their judo at all.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. Are you looking forward to seeing Ishii fight in the US again?
I'll be honest, man, he's going to because he's been in the area before and I'm like, he's going to come kick my ass. But I was never really I was about to say, actually, do you know he has a 6 dan belt?
Yeah. He's an Olympic champion. He's an Olympic. Yeah. It's so once you get a gold in Olympics, you get a 6 dan.
That should be automatically be a thing. So I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense, right? But technically, like I looked at some of his DVD content because one of them was actually I can't remember what it was, but Judo Fanatics. There was a time where they gave out like 3 DVDs of your choice for free, and I picked up like a couple of his instructionals.
Yeah.
Let's just say he's not the most technical guy. So I was like pretty surprised.
He's a heavyweight. All right. He's not some 60 kilo or 70 kilo guy.
He can be like Yamashita and a technical heavyweight.
I don't know.
Yamashita's heavyweight.
But he's a 6 dan in judo and he has his BJJ black belt. I can't remember under who, but I know he has black belt. So he's a very, very good grappler. And I know he's been working on striking Crow Cop. He's had a couple kickboxing matches now. He's had a couple of boxing matches. So let's see what happens.
Yeah. Right? So what I said basically summarizes my thought.
All right. So some other interesting news. So last episode, you might have heard us talk about like crazy people coming out of retirement. Who's going to come out of retirement next? Pretty much.
We even said it like after we record this, someone else is going to come out of retirement. Yeah. But
so I think if it was like a day or 2 days after we finished recording this, it came out. I believe it was Wrestling Observer or one of the wrestling dirt sheets. Said that Ronda Rousey has a hard out on her contract, and that's why. Like, if you follow the UFC, and if you follow WWE, you follow some pro wrestling, you know that she was a tag team champion with her friend. Oh God, what's her name?
I don't follow that stuff.
I can't remember her name. I know you don't. I can't remember her name. She used to fight in the UFC too. The Queen of Spades, I think her name. Okay, whatever. They were tag team champions, and then they suddenly lost their titles out of nowhere. It's like they were going to do this long run. They lost their titles, and now they're going to feud against each other. And the reason they're saying is because she has a hard out. So I don't know if so I guess her contract is that my contract is this many dates. It's not this many years, or you can add time to my contract. It's like this many days I can work, whatnot. Once this date hits, I am out.
So let me ask you this. In wrestling, is it for women specifically, is it common to not have a long career?
It depends on the woman. Because in the old days, like back when I was a kid watching wrestling.
Because I was going to say, I remember Undertaker from when I was like 10 and he's still freaking wrestling like up until a few years ago.
Yeah. So like I was saying, when I was younger, women usually had shorter careers, five years, but like average 10 if they're lucky and stuff. Because most women, they're going to sooner or later want to have children and stuff. And it's hard to have a family on the road. It's hard for men to have a family on the road. It's even harder for a woman to have a family on the road. So most women, when they want to get married and have children and stuff, they kind of retire. Things have changed where a lot of women will bring their kids not to wrestle. Well, some will. Like there's a wrestler named Becky Lynch. Her and her husband are both WWE wrestlers, and they bring their child to events and shows with them. So it's very interesting. But yeah, Ronda. So she has it depends on the women. It depends on the woman. Like some women that can last longer than others, but most back in the day didn't. But things have changed. Women are having children. They're going off a little while and then coming back, which is great. That's amazing. Because before it's like when you got pregnant, you pretty much got cut. And I remember that WWE actually had some losses.
It's kind of like acting, right? Like a lot acting or modeling, or even like if you think about like Japanese pop stars, like once you age out of it and you're not as new and fresh and hot or whatever, and or you decide to have kids, or they found out they're married kind of thing, that your value plummets. So
yeah,
which is like the same thing.
Weirdest thing to me in Japanese like pop culture, Asian pop culture period. If you find out that the idol that you love is married, it's like, oh, they're married. Oh, it's like, did you really think you had a chance with him or her? Really?
Yeah. How dare you find happiness?
Yeah. Oh, I want the people that I like to be happy. Like I want people to find someone to love and be happy, have a beautiful relationship with. It's like, it's weird like that. Like you really thought you had a chance with that idol? Really? Get out of here.
Ruining my dreams, Juan.
I know. So sorry, guys, if you're out there dreaming.
Yeah, sorry. Both Juan and I are married, by the way. So,
don't tell nobody that. I think it's gonna go down. So she has a heart out. So when they found out that she had a heart out, the rumor started swirling that Amanda Nunes just retired. Okay, so that 135 title is open. Technically, the 145 title's open as well, which if you remember back in the day when Ronda first started fighting, she fought at 145 and she cut down to make 135. So the rumor started swirling that oh, she has a hard out. Is that so she can get back into fighting shape and come back to UFC? So there's kind of rumors that like she's gonna come out of retirement. So and so's been training with her. She's been going to this gym. She's been doing this, and about a week ago from now, or maybe less than that, from what happened from now or then, what do you want to say? Like whatever. But the past 2 weeks, she squashed it. She said, "No, I don't plan on coming back to fighting. I don't plan to come back." But
yeah,
a lot of people say stuff like that.
Logically, it doesn't make sense for her to come back given how she went out. You know. So logically it doesn't make sense. The
only two people that have beaten her, one just retired, and B, what's her name? What's the white woman's name?
Holly Holmes.
Holly Holmes just got submitted. Okay, and I don't know. Like she's 41 now, and who knows how long she's going to be continue fighting? Because that's old still. MMA fighting at 41 is crazy. Thinking about it. All right. So I'm not sure how old Ronda is. I know she's not that old. She's just in her maybe mid 30s to late 30s maybe. Mm-hmm. So that's just a rumor right there that she might be coming out of retirement. I don't know if she is or not. She does what she wants. I'm happy for her. You do what you want to do, girl.
I don't think she is coming. That's my opinion. Yeah. She's not coming out of retirement. So
I wish that she would go make some movies again. I think it's BS that Hollywood dropped her when she lost 2 fights, and now we have what's his name? We have oh God, what's his name? The one doing the new Roadhouse movie. God, what's his damn name now?
Patrick Swayze.
What? I'm gonna look this up real quick. I'm gonna find if I can figure this out.
While you're looking that up, I just remembered, since my back's hurting right now, that when I did that Ukemi video that I was talking earlier, I demonstrated some stuff of what you don't want to do because you might get hurt, and I actually got hurt doing it. So that's another reason I need to lay it off until I record the other.
All right,
but
Jake Gyllenhaal. That's Jake Gyllenhaal. Okay. So Jake Gyllenhaal, a non-martial artist, a non-action star, is getting the new Roadhouse remake. It's already been filmed and stuff. It's already been made. Gets the new Roadhouse remake and stuff with Conor McGregor being in it also and stuff and some other martial artists. Mm-hmm. But the non-martial artist Jake Gyllenhaal gets the movie. But Ronda Rousey, after losing 2 fights, suddenly isn't believable as a tough woman no more and didn't get the movie.
Wait, I thought so. Do you want? It was going to be a female remake of
the original Roadhouse? When they're originally pitching to remake it. There's going to be Ronda as the lead.
Oh, that'll be bad. She would fit perfectly, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it kind of pissed me off. Like, this is just my industry. Like, everybody knows I'm an actor. I'm on strike right now. If you guys, we don't talk about my stuff that much, but yes, I'm on strike. That's not fair that a woman that's one of the baddest women in the world loses 2 matches in a row. Yeah, bad. But can't be a tough woman in a movie still. But you can get a non-martial artist, a non-action star starring in a movie. And don't bring about Patrick Swayze. Patrick Swayze, new martial arts. Okay, I know he's not a big Hollywood tough guy, but that was an amazing movie. Original Roadhouse, original, crazy.
All right.
So that's just some news going on.
Unretirements.
Yeah. All right. So Anthony, what was the topic you want to talk about today?
Yeah. I was going to talk about the comment. We read your comment. Whoever left a comment in the last video, read your comment. We will talk about it in the future. That's actually a great topic. But anyway, the topic we're going to talk about today, kind of is a throwback to when we talked about, watching judo videos for learning, and also, when we first started the beginner's class, we talked about taking control of your own judo training.
Controlling your narrative.
Controlling the narrative, having control of the schedule, what you do outside of class. Yeah, so the topic we're going to talk about is how do you like create a schedule, decide balancing between like cross training, like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for me, and for example, it's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Judo, and just now how I was talking about lifting weights and doing assault bike. How do you balance all that? So that's kind of what I want to talk about. Because more and more people now, especially since they're working from home, a lot more people, they kind of have that commute time that they were using now. They can actually use it for like training. Like, for example, since I work from home, I'm able to run in the morning and also go to lunch BJJ class, which is what I do. So what about you, Juan? Because you're a actor, right? So you have pretty, for the most part, flexible and also unpredictable schedule.
Yeah, I have super unpredictable schedule. For me, we always say it's feast or famine. You're either doing well and working a lot, or you're not working at all in terms of time. But it's not one of those feast or famines. It's one of so like people right now ask that since I'm on strike, I have all this new free time on my hands and stuff, which I really don't because I'm at the picket line 5 days a week now. It's like, so you have all this time, or you have this more time to go work out, you can go to catch more. It's like, really, now that I don't have much, now that I'm not working, I'm not gonna have that much income, so now I can't be spending my money on certain things. But
so running is free.
Yeah, that's what I do. So one of the things, like, so I try to go to judo 3 to 4 times a week. Okay. I love doing martial arts. So every day there's our advanced class, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. As long as I'm not doing something or occupied with something else, I am there. Okay. Saturdays, I teach my judo class, my intermediate judo class, and then I stay to do Ronda Rousey. Usually at least a half hour if not I'm there for the entire hour. Like this last Friday, I was only there for a half hour because something came up. But so I'm at judo 3, sometimes 4 days a week if I'm lucky. Okay, sometimes less. I try to run. Like after the pandemic has finished and stuff, I'm running more often again, because before I wasn't running because my wife didn't want me to go out running. She didn't think it's too safe for me to go out and stuff like that. So she actually bought me a bike for the house, which was, I thought it was going to be this terrible, cheap bike, but it's actually lasted the entire time. It's been I'm very surprised at how well it's done for the most part. But I like to run at least once a week, if not twice a week. I try to run Sundays and Tuesdays are my 2 running days. But I'm crazy because when I go running, like, you know this, and some people have listened to podcasts that know this, I run with plastics on, sweats, and sometimes 2 sweaters, usually at least 2 sweaters, sometimes 3 if I'm trying to cut weight, sometimes just 1 if I decide to take it easy. And my run will vary from being a half-hour run to an hour run, depending on how I feel that day. If I'm training for a tournament, trying to cut some weight, I got 2 or 3 sweaters on. I'm running for at least an hour out there doing my jog, going up and down these LA streets in K-Town and stuff. People look at me weird. I look like a homeless guy when I go running. Seriously, I've had people like stare at me.
It's so hot right now too.
Well, there's one thing. Yeah. I run at night. I do not run during the day in LA. I tried it one time.
I can't run at night. I'll be scared of tripping or something.
You know how to do Kemi. But yeah, I tried running during the daytime like once or twice when I first moved to LA. I could not do it. I was like dead because again, I'm stupid. I like to wear a lot of stuff. I'm not one of these guys that go out in like some bicycle shorts and a light tank top and go do my run. I was like,
that's me.
I know that's you. Like me, I'm out there, hoodie on, beanie on, 2 sweaters, sweatpants, out there looking like an old time boxer. When I actually look like a homeless person. When I sometimes do wind sprints in this alley near my house, I'll sometimes do wind sprints. I've had cops pull up to me thinking I'm running like I stole something and question me like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Hey, I'm just running."
You're Mexican.
I'm just running. You can't tell what I am with all my stuff on it. Like I said, I just look homeless. I could be anything. But I'm not big, and there's one thing where you and me kind of differ, where I'm not super big on weightlifting. I do it. I do weightlifting, but it's kind of basics. I don't do nothing fancy, nothing crazy, normal weightlifting stuff when I have to, or when I can't do other things. I'm not a huge weightlifting guy. I'm more about lifting body weight and weird ass shit. And what I mean that, people see my own Instagram, they'll see me flipping.
Functional training. Basically.
Yeah. Tire flipping, a sledgehammer, medicine ball, battle rope and stuff. I do a lot of that stuff because that's fun to me. We're just sitting around doing bicep curls and overheads and all these other things that I do a lot actually because of the choir right now. It's boring to me. I like doing things, really more physical stuff, which is funny because I remember one of our students, I was talking about how to turn Ippon Seoi Nagi. Like if you have bad with Ippon Seoi Nagi, it's like doing a squat. So your legs are going to start burning. All right. And I said, it's not like people go outside class and like practice your squats, do squat rack. And they were just like, oh, well, I do. And I was like, oh, squat rack. And another student was like, no, Sensei, but you flip the tires. Like, yeah, I flipped the tire. And she did back to me. Oh, you flip tires. I'm like, what's wrong with flipping a tire?
So I like to lift weights, not because I used to really enjoy it, like the act of lifting weights. And when I was in college, that's all I did, lifting weights, because I was skinny, and lifting weights helped me gain mass, which is what why I keep doing it now, even though I'm kind of sick of it. But the main reason I like lifting weights is because for the amount of time invested in lifting weights, you basically, in terms of strength and muscle and mass and stuff, and I guess to a certain extent, performance, you gain the best return on your time investment, I think. Because you can, I'm not saying flipping tires is bad. It's actually great for conditioning, but for getting strong, like I don't think it can compare to lifting weights, basically. The other thing is lifting weights is scalable. You can add on like 10-pound plates or lift heavier dumbbells or whatever, but where are you going to store like 10 different tire sizes?
No. What I do is I get the kids when I'm done with my first set. I get a kid. I say, hey, come over here. I stick them in the tire on one side of the tire. And I flip them. Regino, come over here. I got a job for you. Get inside his tire. All right.
Yeah. So lifting weights,
on where you're at it.
Lifting weights is scalable. It's accessible. Not everyone has a tire, or not every gym has a tire. It's also measurable. Like your progress is measurable. You can be like, well, this sucked. Like lifting 50 pounds sucked this week, but next week it's easier, so I got stronger. So that's what I like about it, and it's modifiable. So if barbell rows are too hard, like you're injured or whatever, you can swap to some other exercise with weights that will still work your back or shoulder or whatever. So that's why I still do it. Because for me, the most limiting factor is time. And I've gotten messages and comments, people, how do you train so much? And I'm like, one, my job is flexible. Two is I really schedule my time ahead of time. I already planned out what I'm going to do next week in terms of training. And I don't mean that by having a set schedule, because again, my job is flexible, which means it's not a set schedule, right? Things happen. For example, last week I was going to do 2 days of no gi BJJ. That was my plan. But Eric pulled us back, and he called me and was like, hey, I need you to cover a class. So I couldn't go to the no gi class that night. So I ended up going to judo and training judo. And because I did randori pretty hard that night, I had to change Saturday. Like yesterday, I didn't stay for randori because one, I had to go back and work because I was going to work and go to BJJ instead of commuting to judo. So I had to shift everything around. So now that I skipped a no-gi BJJ session, I'm going to add an extra no-gi BJJ session next week. And that's kind of what I do to shuffle my schedule around. And it really, the way I allocate this kind of stuff, it depends on what I want to work on. Like, the reason I show up to judo so much mainly is because one, it's my main sport. Two, I enjoy it and I teach the classes. And three, I want to work on my uchimata. I can't work on my uchimata at BJJ class, even if I can like use them as rag dolls, which I don't. It's not the same feedback, right? It's not realistic in a judo sense. So I have to work on my uchimata in a judo class. So I prioritize that by going to judo class. And then if that week I wanted to practice some specific guard stuff or BJJ stuff, then I'll go schedule my week around the BJJ a little more. And once I feel like I have it down, then I want to try that certain things. And like, let's say I learned some sort of turnover or choke in BJJ and I want to try it in a judo context, then I shift it around again back to, okay, I'm going to go to judo. I'm going to try it out during Newaza Randori and all this kind of stuff. And I'm going to tone down the BJJ, all that kind of stuff. But obviously work is my number one priority, right? So I schedule everything around work.
I think it's a good question right there when we have with people ask us, and I guess in class sometime, but like, I've been doing judo for a long time. I've lost some weight when I first started judo. I felt a little more toned when I first started doing judo, but now that I've been here for a while, I hit that wall. And I hit that wall or I'm not seeing the same results. And I think a lot of us hit that sometimes or get that plateau. And that's where you got to figure out when to kind of start pushing yourselves. And I think that's where some of us that take the sport more seriously, this isn't just our casual thing. Like we want to see gains and losses, I guess. And you want to measure yourself. This is where you have to start doing stuff outside of judo. And I remember telling one of our students that was like, oh yeah, Sensei, I've been doing, I think they're one of our orange belts right now. They're like, yeah, Sensei, I was doing, like I was saying, doing really well, losing weight and all stuff, but I just hit this plateau. And I said, well, here's one of the things. When are you eating? Like, here's one of the easiest things to try to like, just help you lose some weight and stuff. He's a kind of a bigger guy also. Like how you want to lose some weight? And I said, when are you eating? Are you eating after class finishes? Because whether it's any of our nighttime classes, whether it's adult, intermediate, beginner, or advanced, we're not finishing until like almost 9 o'clock at night. So if we're finishing close to 9, you're getting home close to 9:30 maybe. You take your shower, make your food and stuff. You're not eating till 9:30, 10 o'clock, and you're gonna go immediately to sleep. Everyone knows that if you eat anything like, unless it's vegetables, unless it's like super, super vegetables and stuff, or maybe it's fruits or eating a small salad, anything else you eat, if you go to sleep right after you eat, it's going to turn to fat. It's not going to be burnt off.
That's how sumo wrestlers.
Yeah.
That's why they take a nap after they eat lunch.
Yeah.
And before they take a nap. It's
going to turn to fat. So if you want to, you shouldn't eat after a big workout. This is my opinion. This is also a guy that cuts crazy weight and has been doing it since he's in high school and stuff, knowing how to cut weight. One, don't eat something big. Eat a salad, eat a small salad or something, no bread or stuff, like just nothing is good. Like I said, fruits and vegetables after class. And if you're hungry, then you got to plan out, I'm going to eat an hour before judo. Okay. I'm going to have an early dinner or something before judo. Because you can't have a big dinner after judo and stuff, because you're not going to be up for another 3-4 hours after judo, especially at nighttime. This is where you guys start working.
I actually stay up for 3-4 hours after judo.
Yeah, because you're working and stuff. You know,
I'm working and stuff.
Me, I'm insomniac. I go to bed at like 12, 1 o'clock and 1 in the morning most of the time. But this is where you guys start thinking is what to do outside of class. And that's why a lot of us, we do things outside. That's why Anthony does BJJ to help out his judo. I do catch because I like doing some extra stuff. That's why that's why he lifts weights. That's why I lift tires. You guys start doing stuff outside of class if you want to see some more gains, because class will only take you so far. And this is one thing about class. It's also like some people get frustrated when you tell them that. It's up to you how hard you work in class. Mm-hmm. I can tell you and yell at you all during class, work harder, do all your sets. Come on, let's go, guys. But if you want to be a lazy person and just like walk through it, of course you're not burn no set. You're not going to burn no calories. You're not going to burn anything extra. You're not going to work hard. I remember one time when Philippe used to do these great Thursday classes where we would do workouts towards judo. It would be like cardio, weights, all stuff that was all geared towards judo. One of our littler guys, I don't know, just because he won. I don't want to be mean or nothing, but just because he wanted to be like, hey, this wasn't a hard workout to me. After we did our 1 hour, and it's intense because it's an intense 1 hour of that straight working out. You're doing something like
circuit. It's a circuit.
Yeah, the circuit training. We do something every time. Boom, 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 boom. Uchikomi bands, pull-ups, weightlifting, squats, kettlebells, uchikomi on the wall.
Everything.
We're doing all this stuff one after another. And this is when it's up to you to push yourself. If you're going to walk through it, then yeah, you're not going to burn anything. But if you're pushing yourself to go as hard as you can, as many sets as you can in your head and stuff, you're going to burn calories. So after one of our sessions, Philippe was like, so how did everybody feel? And they were like, oh, I'm tired. Oh, that was great. I feel amazing. This one little guy was just like, oh, wasn't that much. I wasn't that hard.
He wasn't going hard enough.
And Philippe said immediately, that means you didn't work out hard enough.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's another reason I like telling people to lift weights, is because I can be like, you need to do this many reps, this many sets. And you should be able to lift it easily. Then you can scale the weight. But then when you do the conditioning stuff, you need a coach there to basically push you. If you don't have that capacity to push yourself, you have to, because it's time based. The circuit trainings are time based, so you have to push yourself to like what I think Philippe said it was like 80% effort. So you should be tired, but not like dying, like after a judo match kind of feeling. Yeah. So knowing that takes experience, and we don't have the experience, that you need someone to push you, which is why it's hard, and also why a lot of people don't like going to those kind of fitness classes. I think is because it's hard. So
yeah. But this is about stuff that we use for ourselves to supplement ourselves, and what you guys should be doing outside of class. That's kind of like what this topic is about. What do you need to do to supplement, and which ways? You need to figure out like, what do you need? Yeah. So I have terrible cardio. Okay. Yeah. No, go ahead.
But before you staying on to the same vein of things, I think there's a paradox there, because as you get better at judo and as you get stronger, because you hear a lot of people say, you could just go to judo, you'll get fit from doing judo, which is true. But after a while, you were talking about the plateau. It's not really a plateau. I think what happened is you got more efficient with your use of movement and energy, and you got more technical. So you're no longer like using as much energy. So you feel like you're more fit, which might be true, but you might not be as fit as you think you are. You're just better at judo now. So you're not constantly tensing up. You're not using as much energy and strength to move people. So you really have to understand that. I think when that happens, it's good. That's when you add weight training to supplement your judo, because at that point you're judo's no longer doing it for you in terms of strength training and conditioning kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why people do all those drills, like the ones that the ecological approach is against.
So like I was saying, like you're going to figure out where your blocks are, like what's blocking you, what's holding you back. And you got to figure it out. Like, am I gassing out during a match? Do I feel weak in my weight class? My legs are giving out on to me? Do my grips messing up? Am I not gripping it hard enough? My speed not doing well? And this kind of stuff where in some certain classes that there's going to be time for you to work on that in class. But if you want to get better, then you are going to have to work on stuff outside of class. Like I said, like I was going with me, I have decent cardio, but for some reason I have good and bad cardio at the same time. Some days I can go for days just fighting no problem, but it's probably because I'm just throwing people using just technique and stuff. But days I have to fight more and use a little more strength, I gas out sometimes. So with me, that's why I always do a lot of running. I do a lot of stuff that has to do with cardio based because I'm always worried about gassing out. Ever since I was a kid during wrestling, my biggest fear is cardio. Fatigue makes weak. Fatigue makes cowards of all of us.
I gas out really easily.
Fatigue makes cowards of all of us. Okay. I can face the biggest guy, but if I can't beat him in a minute or so, I am okay. So that's why I do a lot of running. That's why I make my running hard for me too. That's why I run hills out. That's why I run up and down hills. That's why I wear my plastic. Because if I train hard, the competition should be easy. That's how like one of those things are. And again, that's for me. That's why I wear all this stuff. That's why I do a lot of cardio. That's why I do this CrossFit. Even though I'm not a big CrossFit guy, tire flip, I do all this stuff because it's more cardio based. It's weightlifting and cardio at the same time. Where if someone feels like they're weaker, like Anthony felt like he wanted to get stronger. That's why he does more weightlifting stuff. He wants to get stronger. He wants to be able to handle his guys. And it's also our weight classes too. You know, I fight 90 kilos. Anthony fights under 100. We fight big guys. All right. And one of my things always that I've always kind of been, there's only been a few times where I've been the big guy in my weight class. I've always kind of been the smallest guy in my weight class, which is kind of funny to say because I walk around 200 and stuff, so I'm like 205, but I'm always like the smallest guy in my weight class for some weird reason, even when I was wrestling in high school and stuff. So my thing is always like, if I can have better cardio, I can outlast them and out technique them and beat them. So that's always been my thing. And that's what you got to figure out. Like I said, with Anthony, he's weak. He feels weaker, so he lifts more weight to be stronger.
Yep.
You know, and there's other things like for judo that you can do to help that out. Like I said, like I do running, I do CrossFit. But if when I feel weak, like I can't do it, that means I got to do like 10,000 uchikomis. I'm joking around, but I'm kind of serious at the same time. You got to do the 100 or 50 speed uchikomis in and out, in and out, in and out to get that leg dexterity, get it to go do that. And you don't need a partner for that. You can do it on the wall with uchikomi bands, with a fence, because I've shown videos on that on my Instagram again, showing how to do with a fence. I had some people messaging me about that. Like, I've never thought of that before. And I was like, I know. When I came up with it, I was like, well, I didn't know everything about this before. But Anthony, like with you with lifting weights, how do you lift your weights to gear towards your judo?
Yeah, before I jump into that, like you said, everyone's different. So everyone's weaknesses are different. Your schedule is different. And I don't always lift weights. I have to put that out there because of my time constraint. And
he walks with weights on his back, people. Okay. He's like that. He's like Piccolo, you know, he has this football gear. They puts weights on him and stuff.
No. So for a while I was really like work ramped up. So I was even struggling to make it to judo sessions. So I made it to judo sessions and trained, but I felt weak. So obviously the first thing in my mind was like, I'm weak. I haven't been like training that much. So I probably should lift weights. So when I get home, I will squeeze out a few sets and I have a home gym. So I squeeze out a few sets before I go to bed. And that didn't work well. So I found out what happened was I was actually lacking rest. Mm-hmm. I was not sleeping well. I was not eating well. So I was weak. So when I was weak and losing weight and losing muscle mass, I was like, I need to lift more weights. When in reality, what I needed to do was sleep. So there was that. So you got to cross out all that other stuff first. Because otherwise, if you're adding in more training, but you're skipping out on the eating properly and the resting, then the adding in more weightlifting and running and stuff, it will be counterproductive. You're going to feel like shit, which is exactly what I felt like for a long time. I felt like shit. And so it was when I started sleeping more and eating properly that it actually which is what I think happened. I told you after that week, it's because I stopped traveling. I stopped traveling. So I was able to have my set schedule, well, not semi-flexible set schedule, but I no longer have to get a bunch of work done before I leave for traveling. And I don't have to think about going to weddings. I don't have to book tickets. I was able to get back to my normal routine. So I was able to rest more, eat better, and I felt more energetic. And in that sense, I was able to start training more. Since I started training more, I felt like I had extra energy left over after I trained, and I was like weaker because I had COVID. So I lost some weight. So I decided to add back lifting weights. So I definitely feel stronger over the last couple of weeks. So that's how you need to adjust. So don't, because I see online all the time, people are like, I need to do something to complement my judo because I'm weak in this, weak in that. And the first thing they think about is lifting weights. And then also the second mistake is they go for like a copy and paste kind of plan, because people will be like, what I do sprints, I do this, I do that. I do like burpees, I do this. Like everyone's different. Like I hurt my back really badly one time doing power cleans. So I don't touch that anymore. I would only do power cleans is great for judo, by the way. It's a very explosive movement and it's highly technical, which is why it's easy to get hurt. So I would never do power cleans unless I have a coach that knows what they're doing, like coaching me through it. So one, you got to consider safety, what you're able to do, what kind of equipment you have, and then you look at what you're weak at. So if you're weak with like you said, cardio, then obviously you want to do some steady state cardio training, but steady state cardio training is not for everyone, because I did it for a while. But I no longer have the time to do it, because you're supposed to do it for 40 minutes to an hour, and that's just running. So I can 40 minutes to, and 40 minutes is usually how long I lift weights for. And I get to work all these different body groups, but just running and then I have to go lift weights afterwards, that's almost like an hour and a half, 2 hours of training, which I can't afford right now. So then you have to look at what the second best option is, and which is based off of my experience, Tabata, which is what I do with the assault bike. Yes, it's more anaerobic. Yes, it trains. It trains mostly explosive strength and recovery, but it will help your cardio, just not as well as if you spent that hour running, basically. So you have to look at what options you have and then what fits in your schedule. That's how I fit it into mine. But and it takes lots of years of experimenting, right? And you asking around, well, hey, what do? You're a doctor. How are you able to do this, and that? And a lot of times the answer is to give up on sleep, which is not ideal. But
who tells you to give up on sleep? Screw sleep. Forget it. It's sleep overrated. You don't need it. Trust me.
So that's definitely, you hear it all the time, and people don't understand.
Are you? I thought you're joking. No, you're serious about this. People say sleep less. Really?
No. I'm saying that was a joke. Like,
okay,
for doctors that have a crazy schedule, and sometimes I knew a doctor that was partying all day, and he was also like trying to be a lawyer and like going to school. And I'm just like, how do you have kids and a wife and go to parties and still do like? And he was like, oh, I just don't sleep. I just sleep 4 hours a day. But he's not an athlete, so. But you do hear people say all the time, like sleep is important, but they always say 8 hours of sleep, but everyone's different. For me, the sweet spot for me is 6. Like, I think I get enough rest at 6. But then anything less than 6, I'm like, I feel like shit. So,
there's some days where I used to get, because I play police officers a lot on these cop shows, and the way our schedule works, there's a little inside information right here to how films work in LA. Mondays usually our earliest day. Sundays, Fridays and stuff are usually our latest day, but Mondays usually our earliest day. So Mondays, your call time could be from 4, 5, 6 a.m. You got call times. So if you can't sleep, I've gone to set before on 4 hours sleep and stuff. And those days when you can't sleep, it's just like, well, I guess it's a rock star morning, breakfast of champions, pop up with a rock star. And I'll drink half a rock star for breakfast, and I've the rest of it when I get off set and go drive home.
Yeah, the sleep, like I said, most people always say it's important, but they really don't follow through with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because it's easy to just be like, oh, I'll just catch up on sleep. And you can't catch up on sleep. It takes like a week or two to catch up.
Well, here's a crazy thing. One of my old karate students, so proud of him, became a doctor. Was doing his residency. Okay. And you're doing a residency, you got to be at the hospital for like 12 hours, 12 hours straight, more than that. Like you're there almost all day, like 20 hours a day or something. Like that's why they have those little rooms for the doctors to sleep in and stuff, little bunk beds and stuff for them to sleep. And I'm like, how can you guys be functioning? Like you're a doctor, you're seeing patients, you have to do emergency surgeries and stuff, or little minors and stuff. How can you be functioning? And he's a big one, also talks about how important sleep is. You got to get your rest. You got to get your rest. But then you tell me like, oh yeah, I was doing my residency. So I did a 3 days on, 2 days off, whatever it was he was doing. But he's at the hospital for like 20 hours a day straight. And he's only allowed to, and he can only take naps throughout the day.
Yeah.
And I'm expecting you to treat people,
exactly,
give good prescriptions out, or give the whatever.
That's a different discussion. But basically, the short version is, one, it's a form of hazing, which they're trying to do away with because we don't have enough doctors now, and two, it's one of the reasons why there's a lot of medical malpractice happening because lack of sleep, and it's not just doctors, nurses too.
Yeah, it's just crazy to me that they do that, but. Back to the judo. Back to
the judo. So, but sleep. You'll see people say, "Oh, I need to go to the gym. I have to go to the gym. I have to go on this diet. I can't eat this. I can't eat that." Or, but you very rarely would you see people say, "I have to be in bed and asleep by this time." They don't treat sleep as important as their diets and as important as their other aspects of training. Does that make sense? If they had to give up something like the diet, the alcohol, whatever, the training, first thing that goes is always going to be sleep. I think most people I spoke to are like that. I don't have like official data, but I did that. My friends did that. So I'm assuming most people will give up on sleep before they'll give up the other stuff.
When I was in college, I would close the nightclub and bar and be at the hotel in the morning at 6 a.m. and I'd be like dying.
Yeah. How many times have you seen people say, I didn't show up at the dojo and say, I didn't sleep last night, or I only slept like 2 hours because I was doing X, Y, and Z. And it's like, okay, why don't you stay home and sleep instead of coming to judo? Like, so I'm not saying that's a correct decision, by the way, but most people I'm saying, most people will give up sleep first, which is why I say people always talk about how important it is and they say they understand it, but I don't think they actually, and maybe they do understand it, but maybe they don't actually go through with it, like actually implementing rest as a really vital part of their training. Other than preventing injuries, that's also when your muscle growth happens. People, like, in case you don't know, even though most people should know this by now, that sleep is when your body repairs itself and builds new muscles and all that kind of stuff. It's also when it processes information in your brain. So it just doesn't make sense to give up sleep for training sometimes because it's counterproductive after a certain point.
Yeah. Well, it's just these, like I said, these things that when you hit these walls or plateaus and just get these sections in your life when you're training judo or doing any martial art, really, you just got to figure out what can I do to supplement? What can I do on the outside? Yeah. We talked about running. We talked about eating better. We talked about sleeping and your rest because maybe you're overworked yourself. And one thing I don't mean to go back on this topic, go back on this, but when we talk about with lifting weights and stuff or doing stuff outside of class, I know, like, I'm not a big weightlifting guy. That's why I do a lot of weird CrossFit stuff. Okay. Maybe you don't like CrossFit. Maybe you don't like lifting weights. Maybe you just like lifting people. Like you just like working out more. So there are tons of judo stuff you can do with lifting your partner up for uchikomi, certain ways to practice stuff, to do with body movement to help yourself out. There are different things you can do out there to help yourself out. It's just about looking for it and talking to your instructor, talking to other people, ask what they do, what they like to do and stuff. Like in my class, I sometimes do like yesterday, I did a big body workout with people where they do the leg lace sit-ups. They do push-ups with the person, hand clapping push-ups. They had bench press with the partner. They do squats with the partner. I wasn't having to do kataguruma squats, but I was like, I feel a bit too mean today.
Yeah. It's pretty hot, but I didn't answer your question, but it's a very short answer. I stick to the compound lifts. So squat, bench press, overhead press, deadlifts. I did recently swap over from traditional deadlifts to what they call Romanian or stiff leg deadlifts, STLs.
Your sumo ones?
Not sumo, stiff leg. So you keep your knees straight, and then the bar never touches the ground. Because I've seen more studies saying how it's actually better for you, better for your back to not let it down. But if you compete in powerlifting, obviously you'd have to do the traditional one. But stiff leg deadlifts, I swapped to doing that more. I do realize it's also more applicable to judo because you don't really bend that low in judo movements. So I swapped to that. Lots of pull-ups. That's what I do. Lots of pull-ups, dips, some gymnastic rings. I do gymnastic rings because I enjoy it, not because I think it's better or whatever reason. And it goes back to what you said, like you don't like lifting weights. You got to think about it in the long term. If you're just doing it because it helps your judo, then it might last until you get bored of it or you don't need it anymore. But just like a diet, you want to make it a habit. So the best way to form a habit is doing something you enjoy. So if you enjoy flipping tires, you enjoy running in a trash bag, you enjoy whatever, then do it. It'll help to a certain extent. And the problem is most people try to, especially in America, I think most people like to maximize their gains. Does that make sense? Like to the last every single like gram of protein. They'll be like, oh, you need like 1.8 grams of protein per body weight, or you need 2 grams. There's like arguing between that 0.2 grams. I don't think it really makes a difference to most people. Or they'll be like, oh, well, if you did this deadlift or that deadlift, or if you did gymnastic rings or sprints versus the bike, I hate running and I hate having to drive to somewhere with a hill for me to do the hill sprints. So I got a bike and I do the freaking air bike thing. I don't enjoy it, but it's accessible. It's realistic. I can force myself to go out to do that. I'd rather do hill sprints than the bike, but I think it's more likely that I would use the bike at home than drive somewhere with a hill. Like, you know, so. Yeah.
Well, it's always one of my things. I always try to use wherever I've lived at. I've always looked around me like, what am I near? What's near me? What can I use to work out with? Because I hate, like, it's funny. I go to judo, karate, catch, kickboxing stuff, train, doing my stuff, be all hot and sweaty and stuff, change whatever clothes I'm going to change and drive back home. But for some reason, I cannot get myself to get in workout clothes or sweatpants, whatever I'm going to work out in, drive somewhere, drive to the Hollywood Hills or something, drive to the Hollywood sign or whatever it is, go run, sprint, do what I'm going to do there, and then drive back home. For some reason, that just bothered. It's just my laziness. I guess I can't do that. So that's why I'm lucky in my neighborhood. I'm kind of in a hilly area of K-Town. So I do a figure 8 run where I do these because I'm doing a figure 8. I run up these hills twice. I run down the hill twice and stuff. There's an alleyway near my house, not too far away. So that's why I like to do wind sprints. It's a park not too far away. So I run to the park and I do some stuff there. There's a school near me that has some steps, not super high steps, but they have some steps there. And I do an S motion going up and down, up and down, up and down those steps and stuff. So I kind of use what's around me. That's something you got to think about also. Don't think about like, oh, I got to join a gym to lift weights, or I got to go to this place that does that. Like, look what's around you and see what you can use, you know? And some people complain about how food, like there's that whole thing right now that being healthy is, what do they call it? I can't remember, but they're basically saying that to live healthy, it costs too much to live healthy.
Yeah.
And to me,
it does in America, actually.
To me, it's where if you don't look at it, like I used to know this guy that I work with on Sale Time that complained about how much he spends at health food at Whole Foods and buying all stuff. Like, dude, you know, you can find a lot of cheap stuff at the 99-cent store, like there's 99 cents only store. And if you ever go shop at here in Koreatown Korean markets and Mexican markets are so much cheaper than going to Whole Foods, and you find a lot, not a lot better, but you can find stuff there. Okay, but
compared to the rest of the world, is still pretty expensive though.
Yeah, but it's something about like foods. You have to look what's around you and see and use what's around you. That's my thing. Okay, so that's one of my things out there, because I know people are going to complain about like, well, Sensei, I can't find, I don't have a tire. Oh, Sensei, I can't drive to this place. Well, use what's around you. Look around you. Use what is there. Buy the Uchikomi bands. Put them against the wall. I mean, you want a good pull. I wanted to mention, like, also kind of tied to what we're talking about. There's this thing called the 80-20 rule. Have you heard of it? I think you told me about it before. But I don't remember. Yeah. So basically 80% of the results is going to be dictated by 20% of what you do. Mm-hmm. So that obviously is not hard numbers. It's kind of like it's not a workout only thing. It's kind of like a general thing. So, in reality, 80% of your gains is going to be determined by 20% of what kind of workouts you do. The other 80% is going to determine the last 20%. And it kind of scales up, right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it kind of scales up. So maybe like the last 5% of what you do is going to squeeze out the last 0.1% of the gains that you do. And if you're like a top level Olympic athlete or something, then yes, you need to make sure, because everyone's going to get that 80%. Now it's the question of who gets that last 1% that's going to make the difference, right? You want every single edge, advantage, gain that you can gain over your competitors. But for your average person, if I told you just do 30 push-ups, 30 squats, 30 sit-ups, and then 30 lunges, and you're already going to be like better than like half the people out there. People don't want to hear that. Like it's not. It's too easy. It sounds too easy. I need a magic. That can't be the magic key. That's no way. It's too easy. But one, you're gonna be better than most people that don't do it. But they don't get a feedback, a positive reinforcement where it's like, oh, that didn't feel hard enough, or well, you can make it hard by increasing the reps and slowing down the reps that you do. But they don't think it's not the common thing that everyone does. So they don't feel like they're gaining anything. Mm-hmm. But if you literally can't do anything, then just doing the basic stuff is already going to get you like 80% of the stuff of the gains. And then from then on, it's just extra. But then as you do more extra stuff, it gets exponentially harder to get results out from it. But that's the 80-20 rule. So you don't people think you have to work out really hard to get fit or gains. I don't work out that hard. I actually found that out, the 80-20 rule thing, after I experienced it myself. I used to train so hard, but then I'll go to judo all sore. I lost all my flexibility, and I had to eat more food to feed those muscles. So my grocery bill went out, and this is when I was a poor college student. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to, and then I was looking at all these workout plans where it's like, oh, you need to do 10 sets of this, 30 sets of this. Then you got to superset it with this. And then like use these accessory exercises. And I'm like, you know what? I'll stick to the basics. Compound lifts, bench press, squat, deadlift, military presses, pull-ups, and dips. So I stick to those. That's basically all I stick to. And I don't do any of that fancy stuff anymore. And it works. Am I as fit as I was in college? Like, no, but one partially due to age too, but it's good enough for judo and my schedule. And that's what people need to get through their head. It's like, you don't have to do all this fancy stuff. You don't need a workout plan. Just do what you enjoy, do what's good. Obviously with correct form and instruction. So I think for most people out there that always have to ask these questions, they're mostly beginners anyway. So this would apply to them. If you're not a beginner, then what we're saying probably you already know, or it doesn't apply to you. So yeah. All right. So is there anything else you want to talk about this topic? Yeah. Well, I mean, we talked a lot about programming, but we didn't talk a lot about how you I kind of talked about, but how do you manage the time? Like, with time management? Like, yeah, I talked about my schedule. But how do you decide if you go to catch versus like going running versus going to judo? So it's probably the same as me, right? You prioritize judo first, and then anything extra you do. Well, again, we always talk about, like, with me, it has to do with my work schedule. has to do with my work schedule. If it just fits in time with things I have to do around the house, or if I have to go to set, or if I have something else to do. So with me, it's just I have a set schedule in my head that I like to do Monday through Friday. Like I always joke around, like, hey, if someone wanted to kill me, it'd be very easy now to know my set schedule. I got that regular routine now. Like, gotta watch my back. I'm not doing the crazy of another kid doing something different every day. No, I'm like,
that's the other thing.
I'm an old man. I'm a set schedule old man.
That's the other thing. We have very understanding partners, and we don't have kids, which makes it easier for us too.
Not that we know of. But it's like, yeah, stuff kind of happens. So, and one thing that's sad thing about me is like, I would like to go to catch more, but there's only catches available at Catch Wrestling Alliance at Fight Science is only open to me once a week. It's a once a week class that's on Thursday nights. So I try to keep a day. If I have a Thursday open, I try to go to catch if I can, but like I said, I'd like to run I got to run at least once a week. If I don't run at least once a week, I feel lazy. And with Los Angeles right now, it's like during the wintertime, it's easy for me to run because I like running at night. So as soon as that sun comes down, I go out. And right now with the sun being up longer, I'm running at like midnight sometimes or late night. Or there'll be sometimes I'll get off set around like 8 or 9. I'll be like, well, you know what? I didn't get to go to judo the other day because I was on set. I got to do something exercise. So I run today instead. So I go running at like 9 or 10 at night. Sometimes that's when people say that I'm a homeless guy or that I'm going to try to rob them. I've scared many old ladies and guys. I've scared late at night running past them.
Yeah. So moving that aside, I guess this kind of delves into a past topic we talked about, but how I always talk about, like recently I talked about potentially quitting BJJ, but I did it.
Because you got your belt.
No, this was before I got my belt.
No. He got his belt.
Yeah, I got my belt, but the discussion was before I got my belt. It's because I'm tired of I value my time a lot based off of that. Because to me, it's like this could have been training time, this could have been conditioning time, this could have been time for me to work on my podcast content, Ukemi video. This could have been time to practice guitar, which I haven't done at all this year. But I've been keeping up with the Japanese stuff, so my schedule's already really tight. And back to the comment, someone's like, how do you train so much and you're still not like, because I mentioned how I think at the time I was like the worst black belt in our club at the time. No longer the case, but at the time he doesn't listen to it, it's fine. All
right, continue.
Yeah, so they're like, how are you training more than these guys and not getting better? I'm like, one, it's because they started way before I did. And two, some of them don't have injuries or younger. And three, they're not doing I always do my warm-ups, and even if I think it's stupid, I do it. So even though this looks like I train a lot on paper, more than half of that is conditioning. It's not related to grappling, basically. It's actually like push-ups, sit-ups, like shrimping, all that kind of crap, which we're not going to talk about it, but beginners basically should do that. Beginners should do that. But then when you get to a certain level, like when you get past the beginner's level, like it no longer provides you anything. So for me, that's like time wasted. So even though I'm training like 6 times a week, like right now I go to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu twice a week, and then I go to Judo 4 times, actually 7 or 8 times a week, more or even more. Last 2 weeks I went almost 10 times to Judo class, different Judo classes. So that doesn't always translate to quality training. So that's something people have to be aware of too. Like going to judo classes more doesn't necessarily mean you're training judo. It's conditioning, and conditioning helps because you have to be able to last through the judo training in the first place. If you can't even do 2 rounds of randori, like you don't have the gas tank for it, then going to like open mat randori, which would do for like an hour, is not going to help you. So
yeah, it will. It totally help you. I don't.
Well, I'm saying people to do 2 rounds and then sit out, and then they can't go another 2 rounds. Yeah. So I'm saying if that's the case, then you need to work on your gas tank to be able to last through those rounds. Then that way you get more out of your randori sessions.
Man, I was dying this week because I was the heat. I had my long sleeve rash guard on. I was dying halfway through. Like after 4 rounds, I was like, I can't breathe. I think I had a heart attack.
I think I overtrained. I was dying on Friday. I overtrained, and then the heat, and also after we had a tournament, couple of beginners. Well, they're not beginners anymore. They're intermediate, green belts, orange belts. They came up to me and asked about grip fighting. Mm-hmm. So I taught them it, and then when we did it in Ronda, they were using it, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is so freaking annoying. Like, they know what they're doing now. So, and grip fighting is tiring. So I was just like, man, have to grip fight. And so that made it worse, but
yeah, but it's up to you when you start prioritizing what you're going to do and what time you're going to do. Like try to give as much as you can, but remember, if you want to get better, you're going to have to start doing some outside work sooner or later. Yeah. And I know like you're going to get the most gains when you're a white, yellow, orange belt and stuff. Once you start getting higher than that, that's when you have to do some supplementary stuff. And even before that, and it's all up to you how much better you want to get. And like I said at the beginning, when we talk about like, I do catch on the side, I do all these other crazy stuff on the side. Anthony does BJJ, he does his own weightlifting and all these other things that he does with the weights, his machine gun bike that he has, his full artillery bike that he has.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, you got to prioritize the time and what you want to develop in, you know, if you want to, it's anything, if you want to develop as a striker, you know, how many days are you going to go to kickboxing or Muay Thai or boxing period, you know,
or
what are you going to, or Wing Chun or karate and stuff, or Tong Soo Do or Taekwondo or Sanda or whatever striking art that you want to do and stuff. You're going to have to sooner or later start supplementing it with other things. And it's about, like we talk about prioritizing what you need to help you out in that place. You know, if you want a stronger punch, you're going to have to use your arms more. If you want a stronger kick, you're going to have to work out your legs more. Okay. It's like one of the things people always say, like, since they want me to see you do squats, because I hate squats. I hate squats. Too. I hate squats with weights. I can do squats with people on me.
So I do it. Yeah.
I can do squats with people on me. I can do runs with people on me. I can lift that damn tire. But if you say, hey, Juan, can you do that squat rack? No, I ain't touching that. That ain't my bad, baby.
Yeah. I think beginners need to focus first on going to class. Because again, most dojos are going to make you shrimp. They're going to make you crawl, make you do squats and all that stuff. And start off there for a few months and see how you feel. And then, because a lot of people, they fall in love with judo or Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and they're like, wow, this is like the best thing ever. BJJ saved my life. I'm going to lift weights. I'm going to run. And that's what I did, right? For Muay Thai at the time. I got burnt out like really fast. And again, just start off slow, then add stuff as you see needed. Don't just jump in head first and add on all this other stuff, because you have a, what do you call it? Like a honeymoon phase with grappling, I call it.
Kool-Aid.
Yeah. So just take care of your body and don't overtrain. So the other thing, I think that was it. I thought there was one other thing. Yeah.
I think that's pretty much it. We talked about it, I thought. But is there anything else you want to bring up, Anthony?
I'll probably remember it next episode, but I remember there was two things. When
we're done, you're texting me like a half hour from now. Oh, I wanted to add this. Can you get back online right now?
We only did that once. But I think that was it.
All right. So yeah, just supplement when you feel like you hit the wall, just supplement it. Try to figure out what you need, whether it's cardio, lifting weights, technique, and use what's around you. You know, weights, tractor tires, parks, streets. Use what's around you, and don't ever think that you have to be imaginative. Like I said, always. And same thing when I did the video a few years ago about uchikomi bands. People were saying they can't afford uchikomi bands. Hey, if you can't afford uchikomi bands, then go buy those resistance bands. You can't find resistance bands, go get some bungee cords. You can't get bungee cords, go to the Dice or 9-cent store and get
I had a resistance band snap in my face the other day, by the way.
Did you?
I need new ones. Yeah, it's in my home gym. I think it's because I leave them out in my garage, and it gets really hot. So I think the rubber deteriorated, and then I was using it and it just snapped.
That is one of the scariest things that happens. Oh my God. All right. So with that, we're going to end the show. Please. Oh, Anthony, I forgot to. How's your Threads going? Do you got a lot of followers on Threads yet?
I don't use Threads.
So Anthony has a Threads out if you want to know. So I'm joking. So please remember to like, share, and subscribe. You can follow us on Instagram at Tatami Talk. You can follow us on Threads at Tatami Talk. You can follow us at YouTube channel at Tatami Talk. You have any questions, things you want to talk about, things you think that we should talk about, you send to us at Tatami Talk at gmail.com. You want to follow me on Instagram, it is _Juan. You want to follow Anthony, is Anthony Throws on Instagram. Is there anything else? Am I forgetting?
Nope.
All right, that should be it. So with that, Anthony, don't forget to
slap the mat.